Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. hasn't went through a housing bubble. It just keeps growing. I traveled there about 4 weeks ago, and as an old laborer, the first thing that I noticed was tower cranes. Tower cranes everywhere. It looks like an anthill, to speak of the ant. An absolute anthill building on itself. You know what they want to? They want to undo the codes to allow building codes to allow them to build higher than the National Cathedral. That's fairly ironic, isn't it? It says something about us and what we become. We're lifting the government above the moral fabric and underpinnings of this country. There's really two places that are booming right now: North Dakota and Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is booming because of borrowed and printed money. North Dakota is booming because of real economic growth, something that in my economics class we talk about the physiocrats. Thomas Jefferson, Francois Quesnay, one of my favorites. Physiocrats believe that the wealth of a nation is its resources, is its ability to produce. The wealth of a nation is what's grown, what's harvested, what's mined, what's manufactured. Everything else is just ancillary to that. When you print money, all you're doing is making money off of arbitrage and the spread. That's not real economic growth. Yet it's something that has permeated into our culture. We have moral difficulties right now. The debt is a moral difficulty. Printing money is a moral difficulty. You're stealing bread out of the mouths of labor by printing money. We have to seriously think of where we are. We have to send people who are knowledgeable. You want a career? You want careers? You want jobs? You want to solve this jobs deficit? You have to get the government out of the way. We've added 225,000 federal executive workforce personnel in the last 6 years. That's why all those tower cranes are out there building, to fill it up with IRS agents, regulators, lobbyists. That's not the way to grow an economy, folks. And I'm a public school teacher saying that. Everything about me is supposed to be on the other side, I guess. But simply put, if there's no private sector left, there won't be a tax base to fund my classroom. I have 38 kids in a class, my first hour. 38. First time ever in 18 years I've had 38 kids in my regular economics course. And last year I know that we put $50, Representative Quam, right? $50 on the funding formula last year, $50 this year for 800 and some thousand students per pupil across the state. That's a large amount of money. Why do I have 38 kids in a class? Well, because of federal unfunded mandates. That's why. Because we have a federal government that wants to grow and grow and grow. I don't want congressmen and congresswomen and senators to want to come and take a picture of me as a public school teacher or a picture with my kids because they need it for their lit piece. If you'd like to do some funding for education, block grant it out and give it to the states and get the money as close to the kid as possible. Like a bill that I had in the state house that Republicans and Democrats signed on to that would have afforded us that opportunity. 95% of funding from the state level would have come directly to the principal. Because I know that when we have more money going into education, all I wind up with is another secondary director of curriculum and evaluation of formative assessments for kids with red hair who live east of Highway 3. And that person usually makes $150,000 and tells me how to do my job. That's wrong. That's over-regulation. My wife is now, our daycare has been told that we need to throw away all of our cribs that were manufactured before June of 2011. We called, we asked why, we emailed, why? Nobody knows why. I think I know why. You built too many buildings in DC. What do? They have to do something. They regulate us. And we're over-regulating. It'll take 10 years to start Polymet up in the range. Amy Klobuchar voted against the amendment that forbid the EPA from flying drones over your land out here. You know they're going to fly drones, they can fly drones up your drainage ditches, like they're doing in Nebraska and Iowa. Because irrigation ditches are waters of the United States, or navigable waters. I've walked ditches trapping muskrats. They're not navigable. I actually paid for my first dirt bike with muskrat hides. I used to walk behind my dad when he'd skin them. As he was walking, I'd wear him as mittens. That's disgusting. Why did I do that? But guys, we have a basic economic message. The budget deficit, the jobs deficit, the savings deficit due to what the Federal Reserve does. The Audit the Fed bill passed 327 to 98 in the House of Representatives. Amy, you keep chanting that you're bipartisan. Carry that bill. Carry it to the floor of the United States Senate. I know I would. School trust lands up in the boundary waters. We need to get that done so that I don't have 38 kids in my class every morning. Okay, there's lots of the medical device tax, the repeal. She voted for it. Then she worked to reduce it. I don't know why you would do that. But Congressman Paulson has a bill that gets rid of it. That passed bipartisanly in the House. Let's carry it in the Senate. We're not doing that. Medtronic's laying people off in the cities. St. Jude's laying people off. It's killing our economy. So all of these deficits have a real simple way forward. Even the trade deficit. What do the Chinese need? Soybeans and hogs. We have them. We'll sell them to them. And it'll help our trade deficit. We've got the second or third largest precious metals find in the world up in the Iron Range. But we can't get to it because it takes too long. So go with Canada's one project, one review. I talked to Governor Quee about it. He was a fairly environmentalist guy. For a Republican, he reviewed it, said it was great. So we just need somebody who's going to work hard, who understands economics, and is going to go to Washington, not to get reelected, but to take this country back so that that thing can always fly strong over everybody.